Imagine buying a watch that screams prestige, a timepiece that glimmers like pure gold on your wrist, a symbol that announces to every room you enter, "I've made it." Now imagine discovering it's just a shiny cover over silver. For decades, Cartier ruled the luxury watch world with an iron fist wrapped in velvet. Their watches weren't merely instruments that told time. They were statements, heirlooms, ultimate markers of wealth that separated the elite from everyone else. But something changed. Fast forward to today, and some of these iconic models have fallen from grace. Collector forums buzz with whispers of gold-plated disappointment. Auction houses quietly redirect serious buyers toward other brands. What was once a symbol of exclusivity now risks being dismissed as a fashion gimmick. Expensive costume jewelry with delusions of grandeur. How did this happen? How did Cartier's gold watches, the very icons that once defined luxury itself, become the definition of overhyped? Disappointment. Which models were truly gold and which were just plating masquerading as prestige? Today, we're counting down 7 Cartier watches that promised gold but delivered glamour. From the worst offenders to the most subtle deceivers, this story gets juicier with each reveal. Stick around. Number 1 will shock even the most seasoned collectors. Number 7. Must de Cartier Ronde gold-plated vermeil. Let's start at the bottom with a watch that promised entry into Cartier luxury but delivered an expensive lesson instead. The Must de Cartier Ronde. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, this was the accessible dream for style-conscious buyers who craved the Cartier name without the 6-figure price tag. It had that unmistakable Cartier DNA. Clean lines, Roman numerals, the signature cabochon crown. On your wrist, it whispered elegance. But whispers fade. The Ronde's fashion-forward design, once its greatest strength, became its fatal weakness. Serious collectors never quite respected it. Too trendy, too accessible, too common. And then the plating started wearing off. Here's where the dream dies. Browse Chrono 24 today, and you'll find Rondes listed for $3,000 to $5,000, if they're in good condition. Most show heavy wear on the plating, revealing the silver base metal beneath like a theater costume after too many performances. The secondary market is flooded with them. Oversupply meets diminishing demand, and the result is brutal. This was champagne hopes on a soda budget. A watch that made you feel wealthy until the gold literally rubbed off, exposing the uncomfortable truth. You were wearing prestige, not possessing it. If the Ronde felt flashy but hollow, wait until you see the Trinity. Number 6. Cartier Trinity Ronde, gold-plated. The Trinity Ronde tried to blend Cartier's iconic jewelry heritage with watchmaking. 3 bands of gold, yellow, white, and rose, interlocking in that signature Trinity design. It looked spectacular. It photographed beautifully. It sold the fantasy. During its peak, this watch represented jewelry crossover appeal. You weren't just buying a timepiece, you were buying wearable art, a chic vintage accessory that bridged 2 worlds. But here's the problem. It never quite fit in either world. Watch collectors saw costume jewelry pretending to be horology. Jewelry enthusiasts saw an overpriced accessory when Cartier's actual Trinity jewelry pieces offered better value and prestige. The market responded with indifference. Auction prices remained stubbornly low. Few serious collectors prioritize these pieces, and when they appear in estate sales, they're often bundled with other items just to move inventory. This is the flashy wrapper around an empty treasure. All spectacle, no substance. A watch that promised the best of both worlds and delivered the worst, the limitations of both categories, without the strengths of either. The Colisée tried to redeem Cartier's plating reputation, but even elegance has its limits. Number 5. Cartier Colisée 59,002 Vermeil. Welcome to the 1980s and 1990s, when the Colisée represented refined taste for women who understood understated luxury. This was a ladies' dress watch done right. On the surface, elegant proportions, that distinctive Colisée case shape, the kind of timepiece that looked perfect, emerging from a silk sleeve at a gallery opening. For a while it worked, but then reality caught up with marketing. The quartz movement meant serious collectors never took it seriously as horology. The visible wear on plating meant owners watched their gold watch age poorly, and Cartier made too many of them. Mass production diluted what should have been exclusive. Chrono 24 pricing today reflects this: soft values, cautious collectors, and listings that sit unsold for months. Dealers know that plating fatigue is almost inevitable, making these watches harder to move. This is the hollow golden egg, beautiful from a distance, disappointing up close. Elegant design, compromised by material reality, proof that even Cartier's design genius can't overcome physics. Next comes the Vendôme Mantel tank, flashy but fleeting in ways that reveal luxury's cruel mathematics. Number 4. Vendôme Must de Cartier Gold Mantel Tank Vermeil, 59,004. Now we're entering dangerous territory. The tank silhouette, Cartier's most iconic shape, reimagined for buyers who couldn't afford solid gold. The Vendôme was everywhere in the 1990s. Magazine advertisements, celebrity wrists, window displays. It was the lower-priced tank option that let you wear the most recognizable luxury watch design in history, and therein lies its downfall. Oversaturation eroded desirability like ocean waves against a sandcastle. When everyone can access the icon, is it still iconic? Browse vintage listings today and you'll find over 200 Vendôme tanks available. Over 200. That's not scarcity, that's surplus. Plating wear is expected, not exceptional. Resale prices remain flat, sometimes even declining. This was the designer combo meal when buyers wanted steak. From aspirational to pedestrian in less than a generation. A watch that made you feel like you'd arrived, until you realized thousands of others had arrived at the same place wearing the same thing, discovering the same disappointing truth about plating wear. If the Vendôme faded quickly, the Tank Vermeil started blurring lines even further between real luxury and manufactured accessibility. Before we continue, let's reveal what's really happening here. This isn't just about plating. This isn't just about Cartier cutting corners or deceiving customers. This is Cartier's identity crisis laid bare. The company tried to make luxury accessible while preserving mystique. They attempted to democratize exclusivity, a contradiction that sounds noble but creates chaos in practice. Every plated watch represented a compromise, a calculation, a bet that buyers would value the name over the material. That prestige could be painted on rather than forged through. For a while it worked. Millions of people bought the fantasy, but luxury operates on scarcity, on inaccessibility, on material truth. You can't fake your way to the top forever. If you're deep into this breakdown, hit subscribe. We're only halfway through and the most shocking revelations are still coming. The bell icon means you won't miss when we expose which luxury brands are destroying their own mystique next. Now back to our ranking, where things get even trickier. Number 3. Must de Cartier Tank Vermeil, 59,005. Here's where the story gets psychologically complex. The Mousse de Cartier Tank Vermeil delivered that classic tank silhouette, the one worn by Andy Warhol, Princess Diana, and countless other icons. Clean lines, Roman numerals, that instantly recognizable rectangular case. Throughout the vintage market, it enjoyed widespread popularity. This was the tank for people who understood design but couldn't justify $20,000 for solid gold. But collectors have long memories and sharp eyes. The combination of quartz movement and gold plating diluted the luxury perception compared to the solid gold tank Louis Cartier. One is an heirloom, the other is an accessory. Resale reflects this harsh reality. $5,000 to $10,000, far below solid gold tanks that command $15,000 to $30,000 or more. This is Look at Me Riches on layaway. It looks prestigious from across the room. But insiders see through the shimmer immediately. They notice the weight isn't quite right. The way light reflects differently. The subtle tells that separate real wealth from its simulation. Things get tricky with the broader tank must line, where collector psychology reveals uncomfortable truths. Number 2, Cartier Tank Must Vermeil Quartz. Now we're approaching the watches that hurt most, because they came so close to greatness. The Tank Must Vermeil Quartz represents a vintage dress icon where collector nostalgia remains genuinely strong. People remember these watches fondly. They recall parents wearing them. They associate them with elegance and aspiration. These were the watches worn to weddings, promotions, anniversaries. They marked life's important moments. They represented achievement for a generation that couldn't justify $25,000 for solid gold, but refused to settle for department store brands. But memory and market reality diverge. The problem is volume. Heavy supply flooded the secondary market. Cartier produced tens of thousands of these across multiple decades. And now they're all competing for the same shrinking pool of buyers. Wear patterns vary wildly because plating quality was inconsistent across production years. Some pieces held up remarkably well. Others degraded quickly, edges wearing through first, revealing silver beneath where the watch made contact with skin and clothing. The 1980s production runs often showed superior plating thickness. The 1990s models, as Cartier chased volume, sometimes cut corners. Collectors learned these painful lessons through experience and disappointment. Browse Chrono 24 and you'll see massive price gaps. Mint condition pieces command premiums of $8,000 to $10,000, while worn examples languish unsold at $3,000 to $4,000. Condition isn't just important, it's everything. This is the fancy shopping bag hiding a modest wallet. From luxury badge to cautious collectible in one generation, these watches still carry the Cartier name, still deliver that tank design, still photograph beautifully for Instagram. But the market has learned to ask hard questions about material truth versus brand mythology. Smart buyers now demand detailed photographs of edges, lugs, and casebacks. They ask about service history. They verify serial numbers against production databases. The innocence is gone. The fantasy has faded. And finally, the watch that sits at the top of the plated Cartier hierarchy. The one that still commands respect despite everything we've discussed. Number 1. Must de Cartier Tank Vermeil, collector's sweet spot. After everything we've explored, here's the shocking truth. One plated Cartier still matters. The Mousse de Cartier Tank Vermeil, in its most collectible configurations, represents what gold-plated Cartier could achieve when style and scarcity actually aligned. For decades, this was the dress watch favorite, widely photographed, heavily marketed. The accessible luxury piece that delivered on its promise more consistently than anything else in the Must de Cartier line. But what makes this one different? Timing, execution, and the fact that Cartier actually got the formula right before abandoning it entirely. The best Tank Vermeil pieces came from production years when quality control was tightest, when the plating thickness was generous enough to survive decades, when the quartz movements were reliable Swiss calibers rather than cost-cutting alternatives. These watches developed patina rather than wear. They aged gracefully instead of obviously. They maintained that refined elegance that made the tank legendary in the first place. Modern Cartier has largely abandoned this strategy. Their focus has shifted to solid gold models, positioning the brand back toward true luxury rather than accessible prestige. This strategic retreat actually helps the Tank Vermeil's collectability, scarcity through discontinuation. No new production diluting the vintage market, no contemporary comparisons highlighting the compromises. This creates interesting market dynamics. The Tank Vermeil commands the highest resale values among plated Cartier watches, though still well below true gold models. We're talking $8,000 to $12,000 for exceptional examples versus $3,000 to $5,000 for lesser plated models. Collector forums actively discuss these pieces, debating which years offer the best quality and which configurations have lasting appeal. The manual wind versions, the specific dial variations, the bracelet versus strap debates. This level of discourse matters. It means the watch has transcended simple fashion accessory status. It's earned consideration as a legitimate collectible, even if it'll never achieve solid gold prestige. Here's what matters. When condition is excellent and the watch comes from a desirable production year, the Tank Vermeil still delivers that intangible Cartier magic. That perfect rectangular case, those refined Roman numerals, the cabochon crown-catching light, the way it sits on the wrist with understated confidence. This is the premium sports car trim with the base engine. You're not getting the full experience. You're not getting solid gold heritage, but you're getting closer than any other plated option. You're getting the design that made Cartier legendary, executed well enough that serious collectors don't immediately dismiss it. You're getting entry into a conversation most people can't afford to join. It's compromise, yes, but it's informed. Compromise, eyes wide open about what you're buying and why. This ranking reveals a hard truth about luxury that extends far beyond Cartier. Perception is everything, until it isn't. Cartier's gold-plated watches fooled millions into believing shimmer equaled wealth. Customers bought the fantasy, wore it proudly, and only later learned that material reality and marketing perception can diverge dramatically. Some people still don't care. They love their plated tanks, wear them happily, and ignore collector forums debating authenticity. For them, the Cartier name and iconic design deliver sufficient value, but the market has spoken. Collectors have learned. The era of accessible plated luxury is fading. We're likely witnessing a resurgence of quiet luxury, smaller production runs, real solid gold pieces, scarcity as an actual value driver rather than manufactured mystique, brands positioning themselves away from mass accessibility and back toward genuine exclusivity. This shift benefits consumers who understand what they're buying. It punishes those who chase names without investigating materials. It rewards knowledge over aspiration. Next time you see a gold Cartier, ask the right questions. Is it truly gold or just gilded glamour? Does the weight feel substantial? Does the seller provide documentation about materials? Are you buying heritage or buying hope? Hit the bell icon for more insider luxury exposés. Don't miss our next video where we reveal which brands are quietly destroying their mystique through overexposure and quality compromises. You won't believe number one. The luxury world is changing. Some brands are rising, others are falling. The question is, do you know which is which? Or are you still being fooled by shine?